Not everyone who knocks deserves to be let back in. That line hits hard, doesn't it, my friends? Because sometimes the same people who broke your heart, drained your energy, or took your kindness for granted, eventually remember how rare that energy was, and they come back. But here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Not every return is redemption. Some come back to heal, others come back to feed. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a quiet forest. Months ago, you were lost in that same place. You fought through storms, got cut by branches, and almost gave up finding your way out. But you did. You made it through. And now, just as you're breathing easy in the sunlight, you hear footsteps behind you. It's them, the same ones who left you there when the rain was falling. And now, suddenly, they're back, saying they miss you, that they've changed, that they finally understand. But here's the question, my friends. Did they really change, or did they just get cold when you took your warmth away? You see, life has a strange way of teaching people lessons. Sometimes distance becomes the classroom, silence becomes the teacher, and regret. That's the final exam they never prepared for. The people who once thought you were replaceable now realize peace like yours isn't something they can scroll through and find again. They start replaying the good moments, rewriting the story, convincing themselves that they lost something special. But the Stoic truth is this. You don't measure someone's change by how much they miss you. You measure it by how much they've grown without you. Let me break the biggest lie society tells you. If they come back, it means they truly love you. No. Sometimes it just means life humbled them. Sometimes it means their game stopped working on someone else. Don't romanticize their return. An apology without evolution is just manipulation in a softer tone. As Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So if their thoughts are still selfish, jealous, or entitled, their return is just a repetition of the same pain with a different excuse. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not about bitterness. It's about awareness. You can forgive and still not forget what it cost you to heal. You can wish them well while still keeping your distance. Think of it like this. A snake that sheds its skin is still a snake. It just looks smoother now, so when they try to slither back into your life, test them first. Not out of hate, but out of wisdom. And let's be honest, my friends, most people don't change because they see the light. They change because they feel the heat. They realize too late that peace isn't found in noise, it's found in presence. And you were that presence. You were the calm in their chaos, the anchor in their storm, and when they come back, it's not always because they want you, it's because they want that feeling again. But here's the Stoic challenge. Don't let nostalgia negotiate your worth. You can love someone deeply and still love yourself enough to say, not this time. Seneca once wrote, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests brave men." In this case, silence tests intentions. So stay calm, stay grounded, and don't rush to reopen doors you once closed for a reason. The storm you survived was not a mistake. It was your awakening. So before we go deeper, I want you to type this in the comments. My peace is priceless, because it is. Don't trade it for attention. Don't hand it back to those who couldn't handle it. Number 1, the illusion of their return. People don't always come back because they love you. Sometimes they come back because the world didn't love them the way you did. That's the reality most people refuse to face, my friends. When they come back, it feels flattering at first. Your heart skips, your mind races, and suddenly hope starts whispering again. You start thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe they finally realized what they lost. But before you let that thought take root, pause. Ask yourself, did they really come back for you? Or did they come back for the version of themselves they felt safe being when you were around? Imagine this. You're a light in a cold room. For a while they basked in your warmth, felt seen, felt safe, felt special. But instead of protecting that light, they took it for granted. They thought they could step into the dark, chase excitement, chase ego, chase the thrill of new validation, and somehow find the same glow elsewhere. But out there, in the real world, they discovered something you already knew. Not every fire warms, some only burn. And now, when they come back, it's not always because they've evolved. It's because they're freezing. This is where most people get trapped. You start confusing nostalgia with destiny. You think, maybe this is fate bringing us back together. But Stoicism teaches us, fate doesn't recycle lessons you've already learned. It tests whether you've mastered them. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The same applies here. If it's not real, do not reopen it. If their return is not rooted in growth, it's not love. It's longing dressed in disguise. And I get it. It's hard. It's hard when the same voice that once broke you now trembles, saying, "I miss you." It's hard when the same person who made you question your worth now acts like they can't live without you. Your heart wants to believe it's real this time, because believing in change feels safer than accepting closure. You start to wonder, what if they really mean it this time? What if they've learned? But here's where you need to wake up, my friends. Regret is not growth. Missing you is not changing for you. Saying sorry is not the same as showing transformation. The truth is, people often return not because they've discovered your value, but because life humbled them. They faced silence where your voice used to be. They met people who mirrored their own games back at them. And in those moments, they didn't grow. They panicked. They reached for the one thing they knew once gave them comfort, you. But your job now is to not mistake panic for passion. Think of it like this. If someone left you during a storm and only came back when the sun came out, did they really love you? Or just need shelter? Real love endures both weather and distance. It doesn't disappear when things get hard and suddenly reappear when things get lonely. But this is why it's so tempting, right? Because deep down, you still remember the good moments, the laughter, the late-night talks, the way they looked at you before things went wrong. Those memories pull you in, whispering, maybe we can go back. But here's the hard truth. The person you're remembering doesn't exist anymore. They're a memory frozen in time. And if you let nostalgia make your decisions, you'll find yourself dancing with a ghost, trying to resurrect something that was meant to stay buried. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." You waste it, my friends, when you keep entertaining what has already shown you it can't stay. You waste it by hoping that the same hands that once dropped you will somehow learn to hold you differently. You waste it by confusing familiarity with connection. You have to understand, when they come back, you're not being tested on forgiveness, you're being tested on discipline. Can you stay calm when emotions flare? Can you stay grounded when nostalgia hits? Can you listen to their words without falling for the tone? That's the real exam. That's where emotional mastery begins. And yes, it will hurt to hold your ground. It will hurt to stay silent when your heart wants to scream, "I still care." But silence is not weakness, it's wisdom in action. It's your soul saying, "I've learned this lesson before, and I refuse to repeat it." So when they show up with promises, watch. Don't argue, don't react, just observe. Watch how their actions align with their words. Watch how long their consistency lasts once comfort returns. The Stoic doesn't chase explanations, they study patterns. They understand that true change doesn't need to be announced. It proves itself quietly. And let's break another lie while we're here. If you don't take them back, it means you haven't forgiven. No, forgiveness doesn't mean access. You can forgive someone and still protect yourself. You can send them peace and still keep them out of your life. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. Remember this. Closure isn't about getting answers, it's about giving yourself peace. You're not being cruel by not reopening old wounds. You're being wise enough to protect the healing that took you months, maybe years, to build. Because here's what's really happening underneath it all. When they come back, they're not just testing your forgiveness, they're testing your evolution. Have you truly grown? Have you really learned to put peace before passion? The old you would have answered their message at midnight. The new you pauses. The old you would have explained everything you felt. The new you just breathes and observes. That's power. And yes, part of you might still love them. That's okay. But love without standards is self-destruction. You can love them from a distance and still not want them in your space. You can wish them healing without letting them interrupt yours. That's not being heartless. That's being healed. The illusion of their return will always tempt you, because the heart remembers the warmth long after the fire has gone out. But the Stoic truth is this: some doors must stay closed, not because of anger, but because peace lives on the other side. So if you're hearing this and it resonates somewhere deep, type this in the comments: I choose peace over pain. Write it not just for them, but for yourself. Show yourself that you're not who you were when they left. Show the world that you've evolved beyond needing validation from chaos. Because the ones who left might come back. But that doesn't mean you have to go back. Stay grounded, my friends. Stay patient and stay tuned. Because next, we're going to talk about why you must not rush to forgive and how emotional control becomes your strongest weapon when they try to return. Number 2, why you must not rush to forgive. Forgiveness without boundaries is just permission for someone to hurt you again. That one stings, doesn't it, my friends? Because we've all been told that forgiveness is noble, that it's the right thing to do, that good people forgive quickly and move on. But here's the truth. Too many people rush to forgive before the wound has even stopped bleeding. They confuse healing with forgetting. They think being kind means being careless with their own peace, and that's where everything starts to fall apart again. Hey folks, imagine you're building a house. You've spent months laying every brick, fixing every crack, making sure the walls are strong. Then one day, a storm hits and tears half of it down. Now imagine the same storm comes back, apologizing, saying, "I didn't mean to do that." Would you immediately rebuild without checking the damage first? Of course not. You'd inspect every wall, test every corner, and make sure it's safe before you live in it again. That's exactly how forgiveness should work. You don't rebuild until you've tested the foundation. The world tells you that if you hesitate to forgive, you're being bitter. But the Stoic knows hesitation isn't bitterness, it's awareness. Forgiveness should never be emotional reflex, it should be conscious reflection. Seneca said, "He who pardons easily invites offense." And he was right. When you forgive too fast, you teach them that consequences don't exist. You teach them that your love will always override your logic. And my friends, that's not strength, that's self-abandonment. They'll come back saying all the right things. "I've changed. I finally understand. I'll never do that again." Their words will sound soft, but pay attention. Soft words don't heal deep wounds. They're meant to soothe your fear, not erase their pattern. The Stoic doesn't rush to believe words. They wait to see if time agrees with them. And I know what you might be thinking, but what if they're being sincere? That's the voice of hope speaking, and hope is beautiful until it blinds you. The truth is, even sincerity can exist without stability. Someone can mean every word they say in the moment and still not have the discipline to live by it tomorrow. Forgiveness without observation is how we fall for repetition disguised as redemption. Let's break another lie society sells. If you really love someone, you'll forgive instantly. No, if you really love someone, you'll hold them accountable for the pain they caused, because true love doesn't protect egos, it protects growth. Forgiveness should be earned through consistent behavior, not emotional guilt trips. When they come back, your peace is being tested. You'll feel the pull, the desire to believe that maybe things can go back to how they were. But remember, how they were is what broke you. The mind plays tricks when it's lonely. It paints old pain in prettier colors. You start thinking, maybe it wasn't that bad. That's nostalgia talking, not truth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." And in this context, it means this: don't let pain make you reactive. Don't let anger turn you cold. But also, don't let compassion make you blind. The Stoic balances both the heart and the boundary. Forgive in silence, but don't invite chaos back to dinner. Forgiveness isn't about letting them in. It's about letting the weight out. It's saying, I release you, not I need you. It's when your peace stops depending on their apology. You can forgive them and still never speak to them again. You can send them love from afar without handing them the same access that destroyed you once before. Now, here's the hardest part. When you don't rush to forgive, guilt will try to creep in. Society will whisper that you're cold. Your heart will ache because it still remembers the good, and they'll notice your silence. They'll say, you're being distant. You've changed. You're so different now. But that's exactly the point. You are different. You're no longer the version of yourself who needed closure to feel peace. You've learned that closure comes when you close the door and keep it closed. So what do you do when they come back begging for forgiveness? You don't hate them. You don't argue. You don't seek revenge. You simply observe. You watch whether their actions align with their apologies. You test the sincerity of their return with patience. Because time, my friends, is the greatest truth-teller of all. And yes, forgiveness takes strength, but so does distance. It takes strength to not reply. It takes strength to say, I wish you well, but I can't let you close. It takes strength to love yourself enough to guard the peace you bled for. That's not cruelty. That's maturity. So if you're standing in that place right now, if someone who once broke you is knocking again, pause, breathe. Remember how long it took you to rebuild. And then remind yourself, you don't owe instant access to anyone who shattered it once before. Forgive, but don't forget. Release, but don't return. Move on, but don't move backward. Write this in the comments if you feel this deep. My forgiveness is sacred, because it is, my friends. It's not for everyone. It's for the deserving, the disciplined, and the truly changed. And stay with me, because next we're going to talk about the one thing that reveals everything. Time. Time doesn't just heal, it exposes. And what time exposes, you can't unsee. Number 4. Observe what they do when you stay still. Silence is a mirror. Stand still, and their truth will show itself. That lands, doesn't it, my friends? Because when they try to come back, your first instinct is to explain, to defend, to ask 1,000 questions your heart is desperate to hear answered. But the Stoic move isn't to perform, it's to pause. Stillness is not passive, it's powerful. It's the moment you stop dancing to their rhythm and let the music cut, so you can see who keeps moving and who only ever moved when you did. Hey folks, imagine you're standing on a calm lake at dawn. The water is glass, perfectly clear. The second you splash, everything blurs. But when you stay still, the surface becomes a mirror. That's what your calm does to people. It reflects them back to themselves. If they've grown, they'll step gently. If they haven't, they'll start thrashing, demanding, pushing, because your stillness starves their need for control. They'll test you with soft words and old memories. Remember our song? I've been thinking about us. I'm different now. And the questions start knocking inside your head. What if they mean it? What if I lose my chance? What if this is the moment? That's fear talking, not wisdom. Fear hates silence because silence makes fear answer for itself. In stillness, you don't chase reassurance, you wait for reality. Here's the lie we're breaking today. If you care, you'll respond. No. If you care about your peace, you'll observe. Your response isn't proof of your heart. Your patience is proof of your maturity. People who are real won't need you to perform your forgiveness in public. They'll honor your pause, not punish it. They'll meet your stillness with steady action, not anxiety. Staying still will feel uncomfortable at first. You'll want to fill the silence with explanations. I need time. I'm not sure. I'm scared to repeat the past. You don't owe a monologue to prove you're not a villain in their story. Let your boundaries speak in complete sentences. Silence is a full answer when history already gave the context. Watch what they do when you don't move. Do they respect the space or do they escalate? Do they take accountability without being prompted? Or do they keep reshaping the past so they look kinder in it? Do they stay consistent when you don't reward them with attention, or does their effort expire the moment your focus fades? Stillness reveals whether their intention is love or leverage. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the rock against which the surf crashes." He didn't say be the wave, chasing and retreating. He said, be the rock, unmoved. When you stand firm, you stop negotiating your value with people who only ever learned it when you left. You send a message without a word. I am not available for repetition. And yes, my friends, this is the hard ascent, because stillness means surrendering the illusion of control. You can't manage how they interpret your pause. You can't manage how quickly they show their true pattern. You can only manage yourself. That's why stillness is scary. It forces you to trust your growth instead of their promises. But this is where you rise. You rise by letting time work. You rise by letting patterns speak. You rise by refusing to be dragged into the same old choreography where they lead and you lose. If they're real, they'll slow down. They'll ask you what safety looks like for you and then honor it. They'll accept that trust is rebuilt brick by brick, not begged back with tears. They'll stop trying to open old doors and ask where the new entrance is. They'll apologize without a timer and prove themselves without an audience. If they're not, they'll rush. They'll push. They'll call your boundaries cold and your calm cruel. They'll try to make your stillness feel like a sin. That's the tell. People who loved your peace will never punish you for protecting it. So here's your quiet practice. Stay still long enough to see the shape of their character. Don't preview your test. Just hold it. No essays, no speeches, no warnings about what you'll do if. You don't need to threaten consequences when your standards are clear. Your calm is the criteria. Your distance is the data. Your presence, when earned, is the prize. And remember Seneca's wisdom. What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. Life is hard. Love is complex. But suffering the same lesson twice, that's optional. Stillness is how you choose the lesson once and graduate. Number 5. Emotional memory versus emotional maturity. Missing you doesn't mean they've matured. It just means they've remembered what they lost. That one burns a little, doesn't it, my friends? Because deep down, you want to believe that when they say they miss you, it means they've changed. You want to believe that those late-night texts, the sudden calls, the "I've been thinking about us" moments are coming from growth. But more often than not, they're coming from memory, not maturity. They miss the warmth of you, not the weight of what they did. Hey folks, imagine this. You're sitting by a campfire. It's cold, and that fire feels like heaven. But instead of feeding the fire, they walked away. They thought the night would stay warm forever. They wandered off, chasing something else, something shinier, louder, easier. But now that fire's gone. The night's cold, and they remember where the warmth used to be. So they come back, not because they've learned to build their own fire, but because they hope yours is still burning for them. That's what emotional memory is. It's nostalgia wrapped in temporary realization. It's their mind replaying highlights of comfort without acknowledging the effort it took to create it. But emotional maturity, that's different. Maturity doesn't just remember the good, it understands the bad. It doesn't just say, "I miss you." It says, "I understand why you left. And I've worked on what made you leave." Here's the lie you must break. If they miss me, it means they've changed. No, my friends, it means they've noticed your absence. But noticing absence isn't the same as respecting your presence. Sometimes they miss you because they need validation. Sometimes they miss you because you made them feel important when no one else does. And sometimes they miss you simply because their ego got hungry again. Don't confuse hunger for healing. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." When they come back craving attention, craving the safety they once had with you, it's not love, it's poverty of the soul. Love is not craving, it's commitment. Maturity isn't "I miss you," it's "I've grown enough to deserve you." The danger of emotional memory is that it feels real. It makes you forget why you left. You start remembering the laughter, the long talks, the nights that felt infinite. Your mind becomes a movie theater showing the best parts of something that broke you. And before you know it, nostalgia starts negotiating with your peace. But here's the thing, if you go back to what hurt you before, just because you miss what it used to be, you're not healing, you're repeating. Emotional maturity, on the other hand, is quiet. It doesn't rush to talk. It moves differently. A mature person doesn't come back saying, "Let's pick up where we left off." They come back saying, "I understand what I broke, and I don't expect you to trust me immediately." That's the difference between memory and maturity. Memory wants comfort. Maturity respects process. And I get it, my friends. It's hard to tell the difference, because when someone says, "I miss you," it taps something deep inside. It makes you feel wanted again. But the Stoic truth is this: being missed isn't the same as being valued. Don't mistake their loneliness for love. Don't let their timing rewrite your worth. Ask yourself, have they faced the same pain you did when they left? Have they sat with their silence the way you sat with yours? Have they learned from their mistakes, or are they just escaping the emptiness they created? Because someone who truly matured won't return looking for rescue. They'll return ready for responsibility. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's what maturity sounds like. It's action, not argument. You don't need speeches. You need consistency. You don't need "I miss you." You need "I've changed." You don't need emotional fireworks. You need emotional foundation. So when they come back, don't rush to feel flattered. Be curious. Observe. Do they show discipline? Do they show emotional intelligence? Do they show that they've faced themselves? Because love without maturity is just chaos with chemistry. And chemistry fades fast when patterns stay the same. If they truly matured, they'll prove it in silence. They'll respect your boundaries, even when it's inconvenient. They'll give you space without guilt. They'll move with calm energy, not desperation. They won't just say they've changed, they'll embody it. But if it's just emotional memory, they'll move fast. They'll want everything back to normal. They'll say, "Let's forget the past." They'll rush comfort because they're running from accountability. And when you stay calm, they'll say, "You're cold," but you're not cold, you're clear. And clarity always feels cold to those who once benefited from your confusion. So, my friends, don't let "I miss you" hypnotize you into thinking it's love. Let time and stillness filter the truth. Emotional maturity stands firm in the light. Emotional memory fades once the attention ends. If you're ready to stop confusing missing with meaning, write this in the comments: "I choose maturity over memory." Because that's how you show them, and yourself, that you're not the same person who used to fall for familiar words. You've grown, and your peace has grown with you. And stay with me, folks, because next we're going to talk about boundaries, the invisible walls that don't block love. They protect it. The next truth might just change how you let people back into your life forever. Number 6. Boundaries are not barriers. They're filters. The walls you build after heartbreak aren't prisons. They're gates with keys that only the right energy can open. That one hits hard, doesn't it, my friends? Because somewhere along the way, the world convinced you that setting boundaries makes you cold, that saying no means you're bitter, that protecting your peace means you're hard to love. But here's the truth. The Stoics knew long before social media made weakness fashionable. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They're filters that keep your peace in. Hey folks, imagine this. You own a beautiful garden. For years, you let anyone walk in. Some admired the flowers, some watered them, but many trampled them, picked them apart, and left without a thought. And when you finally put up a gate, those same people who destroyed your peace start complaining that you've changed. No, you didn't change. You just stopped letting everyone plant their chaos in your soil. That's what boundaries do. They don't stop love. They teach it how to act. They don't make you cold. They make you clear. And here's the lie we need to burn down right now. If they love you, they'll just know what hurts you. No, people don't read minds. They read patterns, and your patterns teach them how to treat you. If you keep letting them walk all over your peace without consequence, you're not being patient. You're being permissive. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That's what a boundary is, power over your inner world. It's not about controlling others. It's about controlling what you allow. The Stoic doesn't beg for respect. They structure for it. They know that the moment you start enforcing your boundaries, the wrong people will call you selfish, but the right people will call you safe. Now let's be honest. It's hard at first. The first time you say, "No, I don't want to talk about that," your voice will shake. The first time you say, "I'm not available right now," you'll feel guilty. The first time you walk away from someone who crosses your line, your heart will ache. But that's not weakness, that's withdrawal. You're detoxing from your old habit of overextending. You're unlearning your addiction to being liked at the expense of being respected. They might come back and test you. They'll say, "You used to be so sweet." What they mean is, "You used to let me get away with anything." They'll say, "You've changed." What they mean is, "You stopped bending for me." And my friends, that's when you know you're healing, when your peace offends the ones who used to profit from your pain. Picture this. You're standing at the door of your life with a lamp in your hand. You don't have to slam the door in anyone's face. You just have to ask them to wipe their feet before they enter. If they refuse, you smile, wish them well, and lock it behind them. You're not cruel, you're clean. Because love that disrespects your peace isn't love. It's dependency dressed up as devotion. Seneca said, "No man can have a peaceful life who thinks too much about lengthening it." Replace life with relationship, and you'll see the truth. No relationship stays peaceful if you spend all your energy trying to make it last instead of making it healthy. Your boundaries are what make it healthy. They're the fence that protects the garden, not the wall that blocks the sun. But here's what's wild. You'll notice that when you start enforcing boundaries, silence follows. People who only came for comfort will disappear. The ones who stayed for control will start arguments. But then something beautiful happens. Peace moves in. The noise dies. The chaos fades. And suddenly the people who truly love you show up. Not to break your boundaries, but to respect them. The Stoic understands that boundaries don't isolate you, they elevate you. You stop attracting projects and start attracting partners. You stop being a mirror for broken people and become a lighthouse for healed ones. You stop chasing love that costs your sanity and start recognizing love that honors your serenity. So yes, my friends, set those boundaries. Let your silence be your protection and your calm be your compass. Don't explain your standards, live them. Don't argue your worth, embody it, because the people meant for you will not see your boundaries as resistance. They'll see them as direction. And when they come back, watch how they handle your new energy. Do they respect the gate or do they rattle it? Do they ask to enter with respect or do they try to climb the fence again? That's how you'll know. So if this resonates, write this in the comments. My peace has rules. Say it with pride. Show yourself that love without limits is not love, it's chaos. Number 7. The Stoic way to test without revenge. The best revenge is no revenge, just becoming everything they said you couldn't be. That's a quote that cuts deep, my friends, because when someone hurts you, your first instinct is to show them what they lost. You want them to feel what you felt, to carry the same ache, to know they can't play with you twice. But here's where Stoic power separates itself from ego. You don't need to hurt them to prove you've healed. Your peace is proof enough. Hey folks, imagine this. You're walking through a marketplace. Around you, people are shouting, arguing, fighting for attention. But you're silent. You're moving through with calm eyes, steady breath, focused stride. That's what Stoic strength looks like. While everyone else is reacting, you're observing. While they're trying to trigger a response, you're mastering restraint. Revenge shouts, wisdom whispers, and silence. Silence echoes louder than any payback ever could. They'll expect you to react. They'll expect the old you, the one who chased closure, sent long paragraphs, or begged to be understood. But when you do nothing, that's when they panic. Because silence is a test they can't pass with words. It exposes them for who they are. The Stoic doesn't test through manipulation. They test through observation. You don't force lessons. You allow karma to teach them on your behalf. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best way to avenge yourself is not to become like your enemy." Let that sink in. You don't heal by lowering yourself to their level. You rise by refusing to return to it. When they come back, trying to reopen that door, you don't need to prove your strength through sarcasm or bitterness. You prove it by staying calm, by staying selective, by letting them feel the difference between your old energy and your evolved presence. Because here's the truth most never grasp. Revenge may feel satisfying for a moment, but peace lasts forever. Revenge is an emotional impulse. Peace is an evolved response. The more you feed revenge, the more you stay tied to them. But the moment you detach, truly detach, you take your power back. You become untouchable. Picture it like this. Imagine they're standing in front of a locked door. They're knocking, calling your name, waiting for you to open it like before. But this time, you don't even stand behind the door. You're not home. You've moved into a new house, a new mindset, a new chapter. That's what real healing looks like, not proving a point, but outgrowing the game entirely. And let's be real, my friends, it's tempting to want them to hurt. It's human. You think, if only they could feel what I felt. But that's where the Stoic inside you must step in and say, no, I won't let pain make me petty. Because every time you rise above, you become a mirror that reflects their immaturity. They'll see your silence, your stillness, your indifference, and they'll be forced to sit with their own choices. That's the kind of revenge no speech can match. The Stoic doesn't test through manipulation, they test through mastery. You test them by staying calm when they expect chaos. You test them by maintaining peace when they bring drama. You test them by letting your new energy expose their old behavior. They'll try to bait you into the same arguments, the same emotional roller coaster, but you won't ride anymore. You've graduated. Seneca once said, Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. Remember that when you feel the urge to clap back or prove a point, your restraint is your crown. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you're reminding the universe that you're no longer operating from ego, you're operating from enlightenment. So what does testing without revenge really mean? It means staying observant. It means watching whether their actions align with humility or hunger. It means maintaining your peace long enough to see whether their intentions survive your silence. The ones who truly changed won't run when you don't respond. They'll stay consistent, patient, grounded. But the ones who came back for validation will crumble the moment you don't feed them. And here's the beautiful paradox, my friends. When you stop trying to test others, your peace tests them for you. When you no longer chase, they start realizing what they lost. When you no longer argue, their mind becomes their punishment. That's karma's quiet justice. It doesn't need your help. So instead of revenge, choose refinement. Instead of proving a point, prove your progress. Because every time you choose stillness over chaos, you teach the world how strength truly sounds. Real power isn't loud. Real power is peaceful. If this message hits home, I want you to write this in the comments. My silence is my test. Let it be your declaration, your reminder, your mantra. And if you felt that shift inside you today, press that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who's learning to let peace speak louder than pain. Because at the end of the day, my friends, when you rise with calm instead of anger, when you walk with grace instead of bitterness, when you move on without making noise, you don't just win, you evolve.